17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
But on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, receive.
Welcome to this episode of Biker Wars with Bill Staxx. Today, we're going to be talking about the Shedden Massacre up there in Canada. This is an insane story. Has to do with the Bandidos Motorcycle Club and how 7 members and 1 prospect were killed. We're going to talk about how this story unfolded. It's pretty insane. It's a crazy story. Lindsay, how are you? Thank you for joining me. Carney's Ride, what's good? Corey, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch the show. So today, we're going to be talking about the Shedden Massacre. I don't know if you guys ever heard about this situation, but it's a pretty crazy story. Has to do with a lot of power struggle and greed. But in other news, this is breaking news. There's an active shooter at Corey Station in Pensacola. At a naval base. So there's an active shooter there right now. It's pretty crazy things going on around the country. So these are the victims. And let's get into it. The Shedden Massacre involved gang-related killing of 8 men whose bodies were found in a field 5 kilometers north of Shedden, a small village in the Canadian province of Ontario, on April 8th, 2006. So it has almost been 20 years. It's been 19 years this coming April 8th. It will be 19 years. And 4 vehicles with the bodies inside were discovered first by a farmer. The day after the bodies were discovered, 5 people, including 1 member of the Bandidos Motorcycle Club, were arrested for the murders. 3 more people were arrested in June 2006. Ontario police said that the killings were an isolated event and there were no fear for safety of the public residents. The name Shedden Massacre, the killing took place at a farm outside of Iona Station in Chattin, was the hamlet closest to where the bodies were discovered. So it wasn't in Shedden. It's just that's the closest place to where this thing took place. And this is the farm where they found the bodies. Or this might have been the farm where they were killed. And the bodies were discovered stuffed in a trunk. Here, I'll show you a quick video. The part where the body is in the trunk is blurred out. But here's a quick video of the rundown of everything. These are the people involved in the video, and that's the farm right there. That's the body stuffed in the trunk that the farmer found the next day. Now, this was a huge case in Canada. Insanely huge. So they were lured to this barn and they were all killed. They say it was a murder assembly line. That's how they described it. And these guys were all convicted, sent to prison. The mastermind of this situation ended up dying, I believe. We're going to get into this whole story. So anyway, this is around the time that this incident happened. That's one of the killers, I believe, on the right. So it says patching over in the biker world. Unable to stand on their own against the Hells Angels, the Chattin chapter of the Loners joined the Bandidos on May 22nd, 2001 as a probationary members to become full members on December 1st, 2001. Wayne Calistine, and he is the mastermind of all this massacre. And Giovanni, I can't even say that last name, Mascardi, were two of the loners that joined the Bandidos on the 5th of June, 2002, after a series of police raids that led to the arrest of several Bandidos in Ontario and Quebec. Giovanni became the group's new president after the arrest of the remaining Canadian Bandidos. Consisted of 15 members in Ontario spread over 3 chapters who were consolidated into a single chapter based in Toronto, although its members were actually scattered across the southern Ontario. Giovanni became the new president as only senior Bandido not in prison facing charges when it came to this situation. The new chapter in 2004, Giovanni opened a new Bandidos chapter in Winnipeg. Those members were only probationary members, and the leader of the new chapter was Michael Taz Sandham, an ambitious former policeman who resigned rather than to be fired for associating with an outlaw bikers. You see what I'm saying when it comes to police officers that become outlaw bikers? Who worked hard to keep his past as a policeman secret. In August of 2004, after being released from prison following conviction on guns and drug charges, Calistine became Singarto d'Arms. I think that's the Sergeant of Arms. Canadian Bandidos were displeased at the way the former protege, Giovanni, was overshadowed him. Journalist Peter Edwards wrote that outlaw biker clubs claim that they are all about freedom, but in reality, in their rigged, rule-bound organization run in a quasi-materialistic fashion with strict hierarchy and rules governing every aspect of the members' existence. It was a great source of resentment that Calistine now answered to the president, Giovanni, the man who he used to give orders to. And when he was the president, when Sandham indicated that he wanted to join the Bandidos, one of the Bandidos leaders, Francisco Lenti, was highly suspicious of him. saying he kept hearing rumors that Sandem used to be a policeman and that he had been rejected by the outlaws for that reason. He assigned Calistine to investigate him. Calistine reported that the rumors were not true and that Sandem never had been a police officer. On the 25th of June, 2005, Sandem visited Calistine's farm to complain about the unwillingness of the Toronto chapter to make the Winnipeg chapter full members, asking for his support. The principal reason on why the Winnipeg chapter was not guaranteeing full patches was that the treasurer of the Toronto Bandidos, Louis Chopper Rasparso, accused Sandem of not paying his monthly membership dues that were owed to Toronto, with Sandem insisting he had paid the dues. Edward wrote that Sandem had a talent for ruthless politicking and manipulation, as his goal was to take over the entire outlaw biker scene in all of Canada. Sandem had behaved in a serious manner towards Mascandu, Louis Raspo, and Frank Salerno when he wanted to join the Bandidos in 2004, but turned on them as they stood in his ambitious way. Sandem began writing emails to the Bandidos mother chapter in Houston, denouncing Mascandero leadership and accusing Rasparo of embezzling from the club. The rift in the Bandidos, Houston versus the No Surrender group on December 6, 2005. Drug dealer Sean Douse was murdered. He had last been seen alive the day visiting an apartment of a Bandito, James Goldberg Flans. 4 Banditos were charged in his murder. Bandito Cameron Akon was unhappy with Douse and decided to kill him for selling cocaine to Akon's girlfriend, sister, despite orders to stop. He possibly for sleeping with her. Douse was a worker at the Chrysler factory in Bermelina, a drug dealer and a father of 2. Flants was only a prospect with the Bandidos. He agreed to let the full patch Bandidos use his apartment in hopes that he might become a full patch member of the Bandidos. Robert Quinn had his girlfriend call Douse from her cell phone, saying that she was at a party at Flant's apartment and wanted to buy some cocaine right away. The all-white Bandidos hated Douse, who was of Black Jamaican descent. Quinn's girlfriend later testified in court that Douse was often described as a, outlaw bikers often are white supremacists, this article says. But in some circles, it is considered honorable for them to slay non-whites. Douse arrived at Flan's apartment in a taxi. Acorn and his fellow Bandidos, Perry Aragon, Ralph Brown, Paul Cipollone, and Robert Quinn fell on Douse, stuffed a gag in his mouth, and beat him to death. Douse screamed repeatedly while being beaten to death in Flan's apartment, saying, "I'm sorry," but no mercy was granted. He was considered to be a blank by the Bandidos. Later that night, Flan came to the house from work as a bouncer at a bar. He was shocked to discover that his fellow bandidos had killed Douse in his apartment, saying that this was extremely stupid as Douse had arrived in a taxi, meaning the police would connect the murder to him. However, Flan was desperate to be promoted to full patch bandito, so disciplined to report the murder and help clean up the crime scene. On the 8th of December 2005, Douse's burnt body was found. The Ontario police suspected Flans had been involved in the murder and tapped his phone. As part of an investigation into Douse's death, the OPP eventually brought not only Flans, but the rest of the Toronto Bandidos chapter under surveillance, tapping all their phones. On the 28th of December 2005, the American leadership of the Bandidos, which had grown increasingly unhappy in Canada, expelled the president, Mascadine, and his followers, charging that they were failing to make money and not paying their monthly membership dues because they did not have the money. They were going about business in a sloppy manner, leaving them wide open to prosecution. An officer with the Texas Department of Public Safety told the journalist Julian Schur of the Globe and the Mail in 2006, because their numbers were so low in Canada, the U.S. Bandidos had tried to separate themselves from Canada. When you get to the point when you're not even breaking even on drugs like any other trade, you decide to close business. If you're not bringing anything into the pot, you're a liability instead of an asset. Muscadero took expletives very badly after being ordered to return their bandito badges and property. Muscadero sent out an email to the Bandidos chapters around the world calling for a vote to allow him and his followers to stay. Jeff Pike, the world leader of the Bandidos, emailed Muscadero back that the Bandidos don't vote. They do what the fuck they're told, he said. Muscadero, I think you say it Muscadero, and his followers took to calling themselves the No Surrender Crew after an ultra-violent faction of the Irish Republican Army opposed to the Good Friday Agreement in 1998 because they refused orders from the Bandidos mother chapter in Houston to surrender their badges, saying that they're going to stay as Bandidos despite Pike's decision to expel them. Outlaw bikers attached enormous symbolic importance to their patches, which show which club they belong to and their position. Their patches belong to the club, not to the men that's wearing them, and must be returned once a member is expelled or resigns. It is considered extremely offensive for someone to wear a patch of a club that does not belong to that club, which often results in violence against anyone that does so. Pike was greatly displeased by the refusal of the No Surrender Crew to return their patches, together with the president in a call to vote to allow the Toronto chapter to stay, but blatantly announcing that the Bandidos Nation was not a democracy. At the same time, Saddam was writing emails to Houston disavowing Mascadere and the rest of the No Surrender Crew, proclaiming in highly obnoxious language that he was with Houston against the No Surrender crew. Sandham had also told Calistine at the time that the No Surrender crew was planning to patch over to join the Outlaws without him knowing. Calistine believed that Sandham had told him, and this bit of misinformation turned Calistine against the No Surrender crew. So, on April 8, 2006, a gruesome discovery shook the small southwestern Ontario village of Shedden, about 30 kilometers south of London. The farmer and his wife first noticed cars and a tow truck abandoned on their isolated field outside of a village after they reported it. Officers arrived to find the bodies of 8 men stuffed inside vehicles of what police would later dub as one of Canada's worst killings in history. Each victim is a Bandidos member or an associate, had been shot in the head, execution style. In the days that followed, police charged 5 men with first-degree murder. The following month, the murder charges against 2 of them, common law couple, were withdrawn and replaced with counts of accessory after the fact. Then, in mid-June 2006, police made another break in the case and arrested 3 men in Winnipeg, including a former police officer. In late March 2009, the murder trials began of 6 of the accused. And this is how it went. In October 29th, 2009, Wayne Calistine, 60, and Michael Sandham, 40, and Dwight Marshy, 41, were found guilty of 8 counts each of first-degree murder. First-degree murder conviction means an automatic life sentence with no parole for 25 years. Frank Mathers, 36, and Marcelo Arvena, 33, were found guilty of manslaughter and 7 counts of first-degree murder. A 6-man, Brent Gardner, 25, was found guilty 2 counts of manslaughter and 6 counts of first-degree murder. The 6 were convicted by a jury in Superior Court in London, Ontario, in what is believed to be Ontario's largest mass slaying. August 28, 2009, the case goes to the jury. All accused pleaded not guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder. And this is how it all started. At 8:30 a.m., Russ Steele and his wife find 3 cars and a tow truck abandoned on their farm. They try to look inside the vehicles and they can't see anything because of a blanket covering a window. They write down the license plate and rush home to call the police. In the early afternoon, the first news reports discover numerous casualties found inside a vehicle. Later updates with 8 bodies were found in the vehicles. At 4:30, the news conference police say all the dead adult males, but offer little details, not in a position to reveal how they were murdered. By the evening, aerial photos of the crime scene show the bodies of a heavy-set man dressed in gray in the trunk of one of the cars. The photo would later appear in the front page of the Sunday newspaper in Canada and on some news websites. Overnight, the 4 vehicles with 8 bodies inside were removed from the scene and taken to a covered transport truck in London. From there, they would be taken to the OPP headquarters in Orillia, North Toronto. At 10:30 a.m., Ross Brinley tells reporters that the victims have not been identified but confirmed that they all knew each other and were from the Greater Toronto area. Police refused to discuss any possible link between organized crime. Several motorcycle clubs have been known to be in the area, including the Loners, the Bandidos, and the Hells Angels. By the afternoon, the police investigators raid a farmhouse about 22 kilometers west of where the bodies were found. The house belongs to Wayne Calistine. Police won't comment on the reason for the raid on the house and wouldn't confirm whether Calistine was home or if he was the focus of their activity. By the evening, the Hells Angels issue a statement on their website denying any involvement in the murders. So if you guys don't know, this Wayne Calistine, this guy here on the right, he wanted to make it look like the Hells Angels committed these murders and killed their rivals, as they would say, the Bandidos. But it was their own people that did this. It's a crazy situation. So police lead 4 people with their hands in the air out of the home of Wayne Calistine. A neighbor says Calistine is a former leader of 2 biker gangs, the St. Thomas Annihilators and the now defunct St. Thomas Loners. So by the next morning, the 8 bodies are sent to Toronto to undergo autopsies. All right, so on the 7th of March 2006, Sandam Calistine and the younger Welch traveled to British Columbia to visit Peach Arch Park on the American-Canadian border. American bikers generally cannot enter Canada, as most of them have criminal records. The Peace Arch Park is where possible to hold conversation without crossing the border. Is a popular meeting place for Canadians and American bikers. An American bandito, Peter Mongo Prince, told Sandam and Calistine that Houston was furious that the No Surrender crew were still wearing bandito patches despite being expelled in December 2005. Prince was the National Sergeant of Arms of the Bandidos USA, making him in charge of the discipline. And accompanying him were Hawaiian Ken, Kennard Post, and Brian Bentley of the Washington State Bandidos. The fact that Prince had flown from Houston to meet Calistine and Sandam at Peace Arch Park suggests that he had something especially important to say, and that he could not say it on the phone or write it in an email. Prince further informed Calistine that he would become the new Canadian Bandito president if he succeeded on pulling the patches of the No Surrender crew, while the Winnipeg chapter would be granted full patches, making them full patch members. Prince concluded by stating that both Calistine and Sandam would be expelled as well if they failed with removing the patches being worn by the rogue Toronto chapter. At the trial in 2009, Sandam testified that Prince, who was representing Pike, had told him that Musketeer and the rest of the No Surrender crew would be killed, and Calistine would become the new leader of the Canadian Bandidos as a reward. After the meeting in Prince Arch Park, Welch chose to remain in Vancouver. Through regularly exchanged phone calls with Sandem and in emails to his enemy, Raspero, after the meeting in this Prince at Peace Arch Park, Sandem adopted a mocking. To secure knowledge that he had Houston on his side. Between 20 and 22 of March, Sandem went to Vancouver to meet with the American Bandidos at Peach Arch Park. And Winnipeg crew claimed that Sandem received a phone call from the American Bandidos, Kennard, Hawaiian Ken Post, asking why the No Surrender crew was still wearing patches 5 months after being expelled, and accused them all of being in a compliance and allowing this situation to persist. So it sounds like the Bandidos from Houston were accusing everybody in Canada of being involved with these people who were still wearing the patches. On the 25th of March 2006, Sandem announced that his followers that he had received orders from Houston to act against the No Surrender crew. So they were departing for Callistine's farm without telling him that they were coming. Sandem assured his followers that Callistine had plenty of guns at his farm, but he brought along bulletproof vests and a box of surgical gloves, saying they needed them to leave no fingerprints on the guns that Callistine would provide. While stopping in Dayton, in northern Ontario, Sandem received a phone call from a common law wife, Kathleen, saying that Perry Carletto Argon had arrived in Winnipeg and was looking for him. Aragon had apparently been dispatched by Muscadere in Salerno to kill Sandem, who was seen as a source of their problems with Houston. When Sandem arrived at Callistine's farm, he lied to him by claiming to not know why he had been sent there, and told Callistine that he would receive no further orders from Houston. Callistine was surprised at Sandem's visit, but he quickly took charge of his guests and provided them with the weapons from his hidden cache of arms that he kept at his farm. Despite 2 lifetime bans on possessing weapons, the self-proclaimed gun nut Callistine continued to collect guns. He had a large collection of guns and ammunition. Callistine also produced what he called a wet work kit for cleaning up murders, hydrochloric acid, and rubber gloves, saying he always used his wet work kit after allegedly killing somebody. Arriving to help Callistine with pulling the patches were Sandem together with 3 other Winnipeg Bandidos. Dwight Big D Mushy, Marcelo Fat Ass Avera, his nickname's Fat Ass, former iron worker named Bert Bull Gardner, who Mushy had recruited into the Bandidos, and another man known only as MH. Joining them was a man that Callistine had recruited, a career criminal from New Brunswick with a long record of home invasions, Frank Mather, who was serving as a bodyguard. During the trial in 2009, the Crown attorney prosecuting the case, Kevin Gowley, took to referencing the man gathered at Calistein's farm as the farm crew. And it is by the name that they are known. Calistine treated the junior bandidos like Arvarna and Gardner like slaves, expecting them to do all his housework for them. Gardner was a man of very limited intelligence who Calistine had once asked to supply him with pickles from a tree growing on his farm, which led him to spend hours looking for the exclusive pickle tree before telling Calistine that he couldn't find it. At the beginning of April 2006, Calistine accused one of the No Surrender crew, Flans, of being a police informer, as Flans was Jewish. And the rabbi, anti-Semitic Calistine, hated him for that. Muscadere did not take the allegations serious, but to settle the matter, it was agreed that the No Surrender crew would visit Calistein's farm to discuss his claims. Most of the No Surrender crew lived in Toronto area. Calistine insisted that the meeting be held at his farm. Muscadere agreed. Calistine, who stated that Sandam and other members of the Winnipeg chapter were staying with him, which was intended as bait, as he knew that relations between Muscadere and Sandam were very poor. Muscadere and the No Surrender crew were planning to pull the patches on Calistine. So they thought they were going there to take Calistein's patch, but they didn't know that they were going there to be all killed. They were there to pull the patch of Calistine, who was a racist. Paranoia had become too much for them. On the night before the massacre, Calistine had his common-law wife, Tina Fitzgerald, and his daughter together with Mather's girlfriend leave his farm, saying no woman could be present during their church meeting. In outlaw biker slang, churches meeting is mandatory for all in the chapter. Despite the rules forbidding bringing guns to church meetings, Rospero brought a sawed-off shotgun with him to the meeting, as he knew his enemy Sandam was going to be present. Muscadere believed nothing would happen to him at church meeting, seeing his enemy only as Sandam, and believed that his brother Calistine would never betray him. Unknown to the No Surrender crew, the team of detectives investigating Dowse's murder followed them down the 401 highway as they went to meet Calistine on the farm. Damn, so the cops were following the No Surrender crew as they go to this farm and are eventually murdered. So they're following them down the highway to Calistine's farm. During the trip, Calistine's farm, Acorn called Rospero on the phone from the prison phone to tell him, "I love you, bro," over and over again. He did not mention his call with Calistine. During his call, Acorn also spoke of Muscadere, and Edwards wrote, faced with the chance to alert Boxer and Chopper as they drove to Calistine's farm. Acorn said nothing, betraying his president with his silence. In the night of the murder, the policemen following the No Surrender crew had no warrant to enter Calistine's farm. And as he had chopped down most of the trees on the flat land around his farm to provide wide open view in all directions, police decided not to compromise their operation by getting too close, parking their cars several miles away from the wooded county line. So this story gets crazier, a lot crazier. Now, I'm going to show you guys a little bit of the police interrogation of Calistine. Let's check it out. Hold on.
How'd you get hooked up with Ken?
Someone recommended him.
I see. All right, well.
I don't think I need to call him, to tell you the truth. I think I'm going to.
Hey, Spider, what's going on? How are you? Mountain Woman, what's good? I sent you the phone number for the hats. If anyone would like to get your hands on one of these hats, hit me up and I'll try to make it happen. But Mountain Woman, he said he had one left, so I sent you the number to the email.
Or would you rather A, gonna charge me, or B, release me?
Cut to the chase. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Rah, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. Mark, what's good? David, how are you? Thank you guys all for watching. Jaman, how are you? All right, let's get to this interrogation. And tomorrow we'll finish this one up with what happens in the farm. It's pretty crazy.
Okay. So how long can you hold me before you release me?
I have some questions I want to ask you.
Okay, just before you proceed any further, how long can you hold me before you have to release me?
I'm not holding you, okay?
Then I'm free to go.
I suppose technically you could.
That's safer here. I'll just go to bed and lay down and go to sleep.
All right.
Look at me. I look like shit to you.
I think I actually look good. I've seen you look worse, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Maybe I've seen you on some pretty bad days. I don't know.
This is the couple days after. This is 3 days after the murder.
I had police at the farm down the road watching me 24 hours a day.
What time frame
Well,
are you
you're
talking
London.
about? Well, I work with the OPP, though. I mean, I'm out there all the time. I was out there today, wasn't I? I've been out at your place a dozen times.
No, I would have presumed that I had police watching me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No,
What time
if
frame
that's-
are you talking about?
I'm talking about the last couple of weeks. Since you've called me, I would presume that I had police protection 24 hours a day.
You presume wrong.
I find that hard to believe. Like, I find
Because you
this
got
hard.
pulled, over a couple times?
No. I find this hard to believe that there wasn't some presence of the police out there 24/7 since I've talked to you. And if there had been, then this is all bullshit. And you know it as well as I do. If there had been police there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, then this is all fucking bullshit. This is bullshit. Like, you're fucking with me. Why is that?
Now, why would that make this bullshit?
Well, if I was being watched 24 hours a fucking day, 7 days a week, you know I haven't left, I haven't gone anywhere. You know who's been at my fucking house. You know who hasn't been at my house. You know who left and came back. And this is bullshit. And you know as well as I do.
I mean, he ended up killing these guys, right? And he hid the bodies like a few miles away from his farm. Like, it's crazy.
So if this is to is this to stop me from actually I shouldn't even say anything. If you're afraid I'm going to retaliate or something like that, I've retired. I've got nothing to do with nothing. So to me, like, this is like I can't believe this is happening because this doesn't make sense to me. Can I ask you a question, please? Do you think I'm stupid?
Do I think you're stupid?
Yeah.
No, I don't think you're stupid. Have I ever talked to you
Okay.
like you're stupid?
No, yeah, you are now. No, if I was under 24-hour fucking police surveillance, which I know I have been,
Okay.
how would I be possible of doing anything, let alone fucking go outside and piss without being seen?
Do you think that there's surveillance inside your house?
I know there is. Come on, fuck.
Well, you got barns, you got driving sheds. I mean, who knows?
See, I don't have.
If that's what you're getting at.
No, what I'm getting at is I've got. Like, I don't know. I think you're treating me like I'm fucking stupid. Like, it's fucking. If I had 24-hour surveillance, what am I, Houdini? A magic.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think? The police were watching these guys as they drove to this farm. They were watching them the whole time. So, I mean, they couldn't stop them and stop them from getting killed, possibly. Why do you think they let them go to the farm? And we'll finish this up tomorrow. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch the show. Hope you guys like this episode. Next time I'll pronounce the words a little better. But I appreciate everyone. I hope you guys have a great day. We got a lot of good interviews on the way. Some really good ones are coming up. So don't miss tonight at 10 o'clock. And go check out the interview with Eric Audet. He was locked up in Pakistan for 3 years. He was tortured. Some craziness happened. And he got caught smuggling drugs, and he didn't even know he was doing it. So go check out the interview with him. Part 3 is dropping tonight.
How you doing? I'm Eric Audet. I wrote the book 3 Years in Pakistan, the Eric Audet story. If you haven't seen it on Locked Up Abroad or my documentary, 3 Years in Pakistan, you should check it out on Amazon. Also, I'm chatting with Staxx.
And then we got Miklo, 1%er, dropping. It's a great interview. You don't want to miss this one.
This is Miklo, 1%er, and I'm chatting with Staxx.
And we got Wayne from the Night Sinners in Illinois. He was a member of the Night Sinners in 1979, I believe. But anyway, we got a lot of content on the way. I hope you guys like this stuff. Hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you want to donate to the show. You can hit up Cash App at Chattin with Staxx. I appreciate every single person that takes the time to watch the show. If you want to be a guest on the show, just hit up my email at BillStaxx2021. If you want to be involved with the TV series or the movie, hit up my email and let me know what kind of skills you got, and we'll find a place for you. I appreciate everyone. If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like the show, you know what to do. Start your own fucking podcast. And remember, don't be a bitch.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.